Okay guys, alright, so we're going to tell you a little bit about this thing here called the Qbox i4 Pro. Alright, it's a very small device. As you can see, it fits in the palm of my hands, as simple as this. Alright, this model, the i4 Pro, comes with a Logitech keyboard. I'm going to show you the Logitech keyboard here. It's a wireless keyboard that comes with it. It's like a standard wireless keyboard with your touchpad here, integrated, your power, your media keys, everything that comes with it. And the receiver plugs right into here, which is your USB 2.0 ports. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this device. Alright, as I said, it's the Qbox i4 Pro. It has two micro USB ports, HDMI out. This is what will show the image on your TV. It will actually use your TV as a monitor. This is your power. This is for your power cable. This is your Ethernet port. And this is where you put your micro SD cards. That's where you will be storing most of your images or your OS or your operating system on this port. Okay, this is for your eSATA. For those of you who are planning to use an eSATA hard drive, or so to keep your software, your images on, just in case a micro SD card is just too small for you, you can use your eSATA. And this is your regular micro SD port right here. This thing has a infrared receiver and transmitter, so you can program your remote to use it, that kind of thing. And oh, how can we forget this? Right around here we have what is regarded as your optical SPDF audio output. For those of you who know what it is, that's a good time for you all. And what is this thing capable of running? It's capable of running multiple operating systems, such as Android, Kodi XBMC, and various versions of Linux. At this moment in time of filming, it doesn't run Windows. So it's not something that's going to run your Windows, but it will run a lot of your other images. So if you're a Linux fan, this thing will do the Linux just for you. And with your Logitech wireless keyboard, it can, trust me, that's the best performance you can get. And this thing has, if I did not mention it before, 4 cores. I think they're clocked at 1.2 gigahertz per core. And pretty much that's it. It's a simple device. Once again, fits in the palm of my hands, that small. And that's pretty much it. So let's get into what this thing can really do by showing you demonstrating some of the images on it. Alright, so this is Android. It's booting up. We're using a wireless control, the same wireless Logitech keyboard to control it, to show you how Android functions on it. So, as I said before, Android is just one of the images or operating systems that can run on the Qbox. This is my Android and how it runs. You see regular stuff, your icons. You are able to use the net, for instance. The browser comes up full screen, close Google, so we can look at, let's say, Shopper Solutions, for example. Alright, we just look at Scotiabank since it wants to come up. And you can scroll down. It's better used with the keyboard. And you know, regular browser navigation, you can come out, you can press your home button, you can remove that, go into your app drawer, you can load. I have emulators on mine, because it's a good source of playing your emulators online. So as I said, I'm not going to get into great detail because there's still a whole ton of images to cover. So this is just Android. It works as how you'd expect it to work. It's just like a bigger version of what's running on your Android phone. And it runs perfectly fast. It's actually speedy, very speedy. I don't have a lot of apps, so you understand. But it runs very speedily, you know. Because as I said, that thing has 4 cores, and what you expect in terms of performance is what you get in performance. It's good. Everything loads fast, everything is snappy. I don't think I'll get into the emulators because I did that in our earlier video. If you didn't see that, go check out the video. I'll show you how it runs PSPP. So that's pretty much how it works. Alright, so we are going to get into the next image, which is XBMC. So we'll do that now. Alright guys, this is XBMC running on the Qbox i4 Pro. I just showed you how to get the Android kicking and working properly. This is XBMC. This is my XBMC configuration. It's now called kodi. So hey, my kodi configuration. So snappy. I have my movies, my videos. Let's get into my movies. Show you how fast this thing is. See latest movies that I have installed here. A whole ton of stuff. Death Race, blah 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 blah, you name it. You can configure it to how you want. If you are familiar with XBMC, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you persons who are not familiar with it, then you know, we'll probably make some videos for that as well. But this is how it works. It's perfect for doing these things. Perfect for doing these things. We have our live TV, yes, you heard correctly, our live TV set up with your Qbox, and it works perfectly. So we're going to get into our live TV. Most of the times it takes a little while to start up, but it normally runs as smoothly as possible. So we just give us some time opening the stream. It's working. I'm just going to give you an example. And this is BBC. And we're not going to get into much of that.
Hey, it's Ivan home.
Due to
Ivan was born in 19.
Copyright stuff. Have our media guide stuff here. It's just typical XBMC stuff. So, as I said, works perfectly with XBMC kodi. Works perfectly with Android and Linux as well. But for this video, we're not going to get really in depth into the Linux. We're going to do future videos showing that. We're going to show you next how you get through installing any of these images as well as Linux using the Ignition installer provided by SolidRun. So this is lakka. It's basically a Linux RAM emulator. So it's just like RetroArch for all of you persons who know about that. This is basically the image or OS that's running on the Qbox i4 Pro. Well, for you guys who are new to it, it has a lot of emulators, like for instance your Game Boy Color here, and it has its Game Boy Advance. Most of the retro game emulators, so like your old PlayStation 1 and your Sega Genesis and all of those stuff from the good old days. Looking for, it even has your Virtual Boy. I don't play Virtual Boy stuff. What you do, we don't have any ROMs installed now, but when you do have your ROMs installed, you see them listed below here, below whichever game category you put them in. This is again your PS1 emulator, and one of the most exciting things that's been added to it, it's your PSP emulator. So you can add your images to that. We'll be doing a tutorial on how to add your games or your ROMs to it that you can play them. But basically playback is smooth, and this is one of the images that runs on the Qbox i4 Pro. You can go through your menu, do your customizations. This is just one of them. That's just showing you what it can do and how fast it goes through it. I'm using a wireless keyboard, by the way, so that's how it goes. So we're going to show you next ignition. Alright, now what we're doing is we're going to be looking at the ignition installer. This installer is what you'll see if your Qbox i4 Pro isn't set up or didn't come pre-installed with an image or an OS. You'll be the one who actually installs their own OS. So what you see is, originally you see four OSs. You see Android, another Android, and then you see Gbox and Openelec, which roughly works out to be kodi or XBMC. We showed you that earlier. So if you want to see some of the Linux distributions, you just click on show all distributions right here. I'm not sure if you're seeing that, but trust me, there's something up there. So when you do that, you can scroll down and you start to see stuff like Fedora and Arch Linux and the rest of the good stuff. You can even put Ubuntu on it as well. So you scroll down and you can see the whole ton of stuff that this thing can actually install. A whole ton of OSs. A whole ton. And pretty much that's it. You can choose any OS you want, any image you want, and you can install it. The Linux images take a little bit more work. So if you're not an expert, ask the person who is configuring your Qbox i4 Pro for you to configure it. If you're not a Linux Pro, but if you are, then you're good to go. And I'd recommend OpenSUSE. That's the one you should use if you're a novice to Linux. And that's brilliant, guys. This is what the Qbox i4 Pro is capable of doing. It's capable of running. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it was, just give it a thumbs up or subscribe or whatever. There'll be more coming, and we'll be looking at the Linux in more detail as we go on.